Hello guys. People ask me multiple times what is the advantage of working in Gulf countries, how one can get a job and how one can get a license, how easy is it to get the job there, and what are the pros and cons of working in Gulf countries, and if somebody wants to, how they can start it. So I'll give you the brief idea about it today. There are six Gulf Council countries, GCC, Saudi Arabia, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. So depending on which country you want to apply for, there are different ways to apply for the job, different processes for licensing, and more or less they are quite similar. So there are basic steps in that which I will narrate for you today. So basically you need to have idea about whether you are eligible for that country to get a license or not. What does it depend on is a PQR. Every country will have their PQR, that is a physician qualification requirement. What it will include? It will be based on your education, from which country you got your bachelor's degree or master's degree, and then how much experience do you have, and then whether these qualifications are valid for you to get a certain license like a specialist or resident or general practitioner or consultant. So if you are aiming for a particular country, go to that country's health authority website and then you will find a PQR, that is physician qualification requirement. In certain countries, the titles of specialist or consultant would be dependent on the degrees only or combination of degrees and experience years. And in certain countries it is just about getting the certain years of experience, then you can be upgraded from specialist to consultant. So that is the first basic requirement to understand whether you can go there and work there as a physician or not, and at what level. So that after you have decided, you need to understand that certain countries, like most countries, will ask you to have a job offer first. They are your sponsors, the hospital which recruits you, whether it is government or private facility, doesn't matter. So basically they are responsible for your visa and your sponsorship and your licensing. So in those countries you cannot apply for license to practice as a physician without having a job offer, except UAE. That's what I know so far. So in UAE basically you can still have the licensing process done and then you can get the job offer later on. So it makes sense here because the healthcare market in UAE, particularly Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in the big cities, is faster. So employer doesn't want to wait a lot. Second, these exams or assessments can be tricky and people may not be able to clear it. So they don't want to take a chance. So they want that someone who already is having that eligibility or license done, then they can hire them without a hustle. And then they know that this person can definitely join them in certain period of time, and that saves time for them as well as for the candidates. While except UAE, most of the countries will have a pathway where you get a job offer first and then you can apply for, or your hospital or employer will apply on your behalf to get a license. In that license there are certain steps. One foremost, most important is data flow, which is a primary source verification. What does it mean? Your degrees, qualifications, your experience, your registration or practice license in your home country, they are all verified by this agency as a third party. So this agency will take somewhere around 25 to 35 working days to verify all your documents. These working days means they work 5 days a week, and then this can be taking time somewhere around 2 to 3 months. So you have to understand that once you have filled the data flow application, all the documents, all the details are put into that, and then after payment, which is costlier also, so then you will have this process done in certain time duration. That is, you have to understand 2 to 3 months is a normal timeline. Once your application is correct, there are no deficiencies, no problems. If something comes up, which is fairly possible, this might delay your process as well. And then comes the assessment. For most of the broad specialties like MD physician or MS general surgeon or gynecologist or orthopedician, they have a standard set of exams available which are delivered by the computer based testing, which is mostly MCQ one, and the syllabus and course everywhere is given fairly. So these are from the standard books, standard curriculums. And then there are agencies which take these exams. Most common is the Prometric, or it would be Pearson in certain particular agencies. Like Abu Dhabi, the Department of Health DOH exam is conducted mostly through Pearson. And DHA and MOH, DHA is Dubai Health Authority, MOH is Ministry of Health. For rest of the Emirates in UAE, then for Bahrain it is NHRA, for Oman it is Oman OSMLE. Those are different authorities of different countries. So they will have a particular agency tied up with who will take exam of candidates on their behalf. So that exam generally is available to candidates at the same time of data flow is being carried out side by side. But in certain cases, like in UAE, for some subspecialties like gastrointestinal surgery, or per se, which is reproductive medicine and gynecology, or gynec onco, or gynec urology, there are like a sub-specific divisions of some specialties. The exams delivered by computer-based testing may not be available, so they will do the oral assessment. For this to happen, you must have the data flow already finished. So this is a little change. I mean, in particular specialties, you will have to wait till your data flow is done, and most of the specialties you will not have to wait till the data flow is done. You can simultaneously give the exam. Again, it may differ from agency to agency. In Dubai it is allowed, but in Abu Dhabi it may not be allowed. So you have to finish your data flow first, then only you are eligible to book the exam with Prometric or Pearson or whatever. So once you have cleared that exam, your data flow verification is done, then you get the license or eligibility. Eligibility means that you are eligible to get the license. Then the hospital or employer will activate it by paying the fees and by paying for your insurance and for your liability insurance or the indemnity insurance. So these are the things basically to get your license. So on an average, this process can take from 3 to 6 months somewhere, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on your documents already data flow verified, or the country of origin where they may not need certain things from you, like from the developed countries, from UK, USA, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Ireland. They have eligibility already, they don't need to give exam. So once the data flow is done, they are already eligible for getting the license or something like that. So this is the basic process. The detailed process for each country may be different, a step here or there, or maybe in some different order, but most of the times this is the process. What are the advantages of working in Gulf country? You have good quality of life. You can see the pollution is less, roads are very good, clear, the governance is good, they are mostly safe, and I had a perception, most people have perception about being in a Muslim country, but they are very much tolerant and very much welcoming to expats as well. Every country will have certain issues. Even back in our home countries, there is something which is going on and can be troubling you socially or emotionally or politically. But most of the times here, for the peaceful expat workers, it doesn't make a big difference, and they are like mostly welcomed here. You don't have any day-to-day routine problems. There is savings potential because they are tax-free salaries. There are some indirect taxes like VAT in costs and other things you are paying, but by and large, whatever you earn is tax-free. There is no income tax as of now. There is good education for kids available. You have all kinds of curriculums: British curriculum, IB curriculum, American curriculum, Canadian curriculum, French, German. In bigger cities like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you will have all kinds of schools or curriculum available, and they are one of the good schools. Their currency is pegged with US dollars. So what happens, whatever you are earning directly compared to the countries like India, Pakistan, or Bangladesh, or Sri Lanka, or other countries, the fluctuation of currency is not that much. Plus, the inflation is not very high. So whatever you earn, you can plan your budgets and plan your savings, and it will not be washed away with currency depreciation, like which happens with the Indian rupee, Pakistani rupee, or so. and they are definitely very safe places. You'll not hear about like drastic crimes or something like that. It's I mean rare to hear that. Some small minor frauds or some other cheatings or whatever, they are very 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 minor. The laws are strict here, so people will even think about before committing a crime. They are coming with newer laws which are attracting the outside workforce, because the oil based economy is definitely not sustainable. They also know that, and they have already started diversifying their economies, and they will definitely need more talent, more workforce for that, and that makes a room for expat workers here, so which is a good thing for us. So what are potential drawbacks or challenges in a healthcare setting? Basically, it is a competitive environment, and there are lower work volumes compared to highly populated countries. You may not get similar kind of workload here. For each private and government jobs, there are different kinds of challenges. The pay scales won't be like they are fixed pay scales for government institutes, but for private it depends on your years of experience, your negotiation skills, your expertise in particular some services you can bring to. So that depends very much on how you deal with the situation, how you deal with the employer, and who is your employer. It depends on all of that. Less socialization here. Indian population is a very big community, so you may not feel that you are lacking socialization here per se, but yes, you can't expect like back in your country the kind of festivals or the crowd or the the marriage season and everything. You will have socialization, but different kind of socialization and to different level. So it depends on whether you are introvert or extrovert, you like to make new friends or no. I mean, depends on that. Another challenge is no naturalization. That is, you cannot become a citizen very easily here. I mean, it's very difficult. Mostly on paper it is not possible, but yes, with newer laws they are coming up with the long-term visas. Till now it was like a sponsor or employer will provide you work visas for certain duration, and that will be renewed every time. And then what happens when you are leaving your jobs in between or something happens, God forbid, then you lose that sponsorship, and then what happens, you have to travel back to your home country because you cannot legally stay in the country. But nowadays the rules are changing, and they are coming up with more expat friendly laws where you can still stay for the longer duration, or you can have certain specific visas in certain categories for healthcare workers where you can stay without the sponsorship also. Commuting is difficult here because most of the Gulf nations do not have very strong public transport systems. As per in Dubai right now, there is metro, there are buses, there are good cabs available, cab services. Still, in most of the Gulf countries, you need to have your own car. That's fine. I mean, as a doctor, you'll have a car at your place also there. That is one challenge. The weather, yeah. When I came first time in Bahrain in 2018, I thought it will be the hot country only, and then I'll not have the need for warm clothes. But it was reverse actually. The winters are also like quite chilly, and then the hot summers are already there. So the weather is like extremes of two sides. Yeah, you will not have snowfall or the winters compared to like a Western country's winters. Still they are, I mean, for me it was, I mean, from my place, it was quite colder in winter. They are definitely expensive countries to stay. So just be sure whenever you are offered some salary, you get a job, then you compare, you go on Google and search for the cost of living in that particular city or country. So you'll be surprised that whatever salary you are getting, most of that you might be spending there. So if you are not sure whether, I mean, if you compare and convert that salary into your country's currency, and then you feel very much I mean happy that, oh, I'm getting this much salary compared to your own country which you are getting, but it's not always that you will be able to save from that kind of a salary. Again, there is economic diversity also. Will have different strata of people, economical classes. So for somebody it might be comfortable, for you it might not be comfortable. So always think in those lines before considering to move out. How easy is it to get the license? I would say for the exams and assessment, data flow and everything will be fine. I mean, it's just a process, you will have to go through it. But for exams to clear and get the license, then definitely you need to have a basic knowledge and the good knowledge of your subject, your specialty. And there are materials available, classes available, and I mean everything is available, but you have to read yourself, you have to be prepared. It's not something very tricky or easy exam that you will go and pass it. Okay, people fail also that, and very good number of people fail there. How easy is to get the job nowadays? Like competition is increasing, that like job scarcity is everywhere, and people are moving out more than before. So definitely there will be competition in getting a job. Sometimes it's not easy. I mean, you might have to wait for longer duration to get a job, or sometimes you will get a job easily, but you are not able to process, pass through the exams. Then again, it can become difficult. How much salary should I expect? Again, depends on the country, your skill set, your qualification, and years of experience. So it's very subjective. So better would be whenever you get some job offer or you are targeting for such particular country, then try to look and talk to the people who are already working there, and then you can have the broad idea about how much salary you should be expecting in that place. Is it worth moving? Again, depends on your life choices, career choices. If you want a growth as a number of patients or the volume you work, it might not be a place where you can get the very large volumes, but there will be a sort of a balanced life where you can have a good quality time with your family spared after working. You will have certain decent salaries and decent amount of saving, earning potential, and still to have time for yourself. So that is something you need to consider yourself, because balanced life is a paradoxical term. Nobody wants that. Somebody would be like more of a family guy, somebody would be more of a workaholic guy, and what you want from life or your career, you have to decide yourself and then try to move out and consider these options. Also consider your family situation and background, then you can consider well whether it is a good decision to move or no. I hope this helps, and if there are any particular other questions you have, I have social media accounts links given below this video, and then you can reach out to me easily. I'll be happy to help anyone who is approaching me. Yeah, I'll try my best to give answers as soon as possible, but sometimes, accept my apologies, it's not possible. Thank you so much. Have a good day, have a good life ahead, have a good career ahead.